This is the Extra Point Podcast from Arizona's Family.
All right, National Signing Day. The first edition is here. The Sun Devils and the Wildcats will break down how they're doing tonight on the Extra Point television show. But it's a new age in college football. NIL is the name of the game, so let's bring in an NIL expert. Luke Fedlam zooming in here to the Extra Point Podcast to discuss. And Luke, first of all, happy National Signing Day. Who's the big winner today, in your opinion, when you look kind of down the list right now and see what the commits look like?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. And I think there are a handful of winners that we've seen kind of really evolve out of today so far. I think Oregon is one of them. They were able to flip and be able to get that quarterback that they were looking at and trying hard to get. They got Mateo Ugalele.
I say that one wrong. Yes. I just say that he's the brother of the Clemson quarterback. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they're having a great day. When you look at University of Texas, obviously with Arch Manning and the fact that they didn't have anybody that was already committed and they had a strong class and they didn't have anybody flip away from Texas, they're looking strong as well. So a couple winners so far early today.
And you look at NIL and the dollars out there, and it's kind of, there's not really, I feel like in pro sports, everybody's really quick to get out the numbers. You don't hear as many of the numbers or know what they are, but you know they're there. How much do you feel like NIL has changed the game here?
NIL has really played a big role in kind of where we're at today. I think it's becoming a significant factor when student athletes are determining what school they want to attend. They're still looking at, especially your top recruits are still looking at things like, what's going to prepare me for the next level? What school has a winning tradition? What does the coaching staff look like? The facilities, all of those factors. But name, image, and likeness and the opportunity to earn compensation, that's really played a role in the decision-making process for a lot of these families and players.
And you look at a guy like Arch Manning, I'm a University of Texas alum, would gladly contribute there to get him on campus, and I think they have lots of contributors. What kind of dollar? You hear all sorts of stuff. Do you have any feel for how much it's costing the University of Texas to get Arch Manning there on the 40 acres?
Well, I'll tell you, to be clear, name, image, and likeness, it can't be formally the school paying that student athlete to come. So It has to be, whether it's a collective, whether it's other third parties. But in that regard, a player like him, it's going to be seven figures. There are elite football players are really kind of they're in that space of high six figures, low seven figures to get a top-notch recruit. And the other key, too, that's going to be important is what are you doing to retain that talent once you get them there? How are you keeping those players on your roster? And I think, Coach Ryan Day at Ohio State, even at the beginning of this season, talked about how he's going to need $13 to $15 million just to keep his current roster intact.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like being a GM and a coach all at the same time, and you're finding people here in the Valley. We've had as the Arizona State Sun Devils try to raise money, they're bringing in people that have run charities, and it's a whole new game there. What does the process look like, as you mentioned? Because the school can't technically give a kid the money. I know they're NIL agents now. At least you've heard about them. How does this process work?
So really a few different things. One, let's just be clear. We know that coaches are talking with collectives and they're highlighting the players that they're trying to recruit. Now, the NCAA has come out with rules, clarifying their rules to say that a collective can't use the promise of a name, image, and likeness deal to recruit a prospective student athlete. But we do know that collectives are having conversations with families and recruits, that there are corporate, relationships, local businesses, donors, et cetera, that get connected into those particular recruits to try to offer opportunities. Now, while they can't promise them a deal, a coach can go into a living room of a family of a recruit and say, hey, listen, I can't promise you a certain dollar amount, but these are the types of deals that are happening at our institution. These are the type of deals that collectives have for our linemen. This is what some of the receivers or, quarterbacks, et cetera, have been able to receive. So you could expect if you come here that this is what this is going to look like for you. And if you're that guy, if you're that player, you might even, command even more than that.
And you think about the days of the Fab Five and the guys there saying, not wearing the Michigan shirts in the Final Four and saying we don't even have enough money to go out and get a pizza and go see a movie. And it seems like, okay, so where are we on the spectrum of guys that, rising rents here in the Valley of the Sun, we're a growing metropolis. They want to be able to afford an apartment, to making crazy money. Where does that spectrum look like when it comes to NIL?
Oh, it's across the board. There are a lot of student athletes that will do name, image, and likeness deals and may not actually get a form of cash compensation for it. It may come from other services provided. So if you think about it, you could have, you mentioned an apartment. There are student athletes that are doing NIL deals with apartment complexes to promote that brand, right? Because when you think about it, the demographic of that particular player and their social media following, oftentimes for many apartment complexes are exactly who they're going after for other students, et cetera. So we're seeing it from that to restaurants and other local business opportunities, all the way to some of these bigger deals that are really focused on ensuring that a particular player is happy and is making money while at the university or the institution.
Yeah, it's very American. I don't know why we didn't think about this long time. It was all under the table. So, I mean,
right.
And it's not like, I mean, there's a couple Arch Mannings out there, but are there more just guys that, making a little cash while they can?
Well, absolutely. I mean, there are plenty of student athletes, and this is across, I know it's National Signing Day and we're talking football, but across the board, name, image, and likeness really is an equal opportunity for student athletes of all genders, of all sports that they play, to be able to go out and earn compensation with name, image, and likeness. So we're seeing a lot of deals from student athletes in other sports as well that are just being able to earn some money, put some money in their pocket to be able to go out and have some meals, or to be able to go out and buy clothes they want, or take a trip that they want to take. That's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be the opportunity for student athletes to just be able to earn money off of their own name, which for so long has been prohibited by the NCAA.
Is there a day, though, that this needs to be reined in and regulated? Is there anything out there to kind of watch to say, oh, well, now Ohio State should be playing the Dallas Cowboys with these kind of deals? What are some of the where's the parameter there as far as it can go?
Well, at some point, I think Congress is most likely going to step in some regard. And to be honest with you, I don't know that that's necessarily to rein in name, image, and likeness as much as it is to enforce rules and laws then around name, image, and likeness. And that's going to be an entirely different ballgame when you have an organization, an entity other than the NCAA responsible for enforcement and responsible for handing out punishments when rules are violated. So many people know in the industry about different schools and the tactics that they've taken that have maybe bent or broken rules over the years that have never been punished for that. And that's before NIL. So I think that at some point we're going to see that. But when you think about reining in, there's coaching salaries right now are at an all-time high, and we're seeing $100 million deals for college football coaches. That's not being reined in. We look at the conference deals with their media deals, and for the Big Ten to just sign a $7.5 billion multimedia deal. That's not being reined in. So I think we're not going to see name, image, and likeness, the reining in of amounts that student athletes will be able to command. I do think, though, the market itself will adjust over time. And that's why I think it's good for the market right now for the next couple of years to see how this plays out. Because if you're a donor that contributed 6 or 7 figures to recruits that ultimately, let's say, played this past season and it didn't pan out, and the team maybe had a losing record or just didn't win their conference championship, those donors are going to, I think, question what's the return on my investment. And I think that's going to adjust the market as we go forward.
Yeah, we've had a couple guys like that out here at Arizona State who have gotten cars, and one guy didn't even play second half of the season, but hey, he did get a vehicle out of the deal, and God bless him. And in this new age, you got to get yours while you can. That's for sure. Could you see an age, though, a day and an age when maybe a guy doesn't leave college because he would be taking a pay cut?
Well, I think we're actually kind of at that point right now. I think that there are potentially, fourth-year guys that maybe have another year of eligibility that have said, all right, if I'm a fringe player, if I'm a football player that is right in that borderline between a late round pick in the NFL draft or just going undrafted and having to fight my way onto a roster, those are players I think that could say, okay, now that I can make money, that money idea isn't the pressure for me now to enter the league to try to, be able to help my family out or myself out. Now, if I have money coming in through name, image, and likeness, I can stay another year and continue to develop my skills. If you happen to be that first, second, third round person that's kind of already got that first, second, third round grade from the NFL, you're most likely going to go and take your chances in the league. there's so much more money that can be made based on your player contract entering the league than just through name, image, and likeness. But if you're that player that's in the fringes, that's kind of a questionable pick, then I think staying another year gives that opportunity.
Yeah, I was hoping a Lamborghini and $1 million would keep Bijan Robinson on campus at the University of Texas, but I get it. Who is most poised here to kind of vault ahead and out here out west with the Pac-12 changing? We have Coach Prime now. We're excited. I mean, I think he's gonna help the media rights deal. But how do you keep from falling behind in this new age?
Well, I think it's you have to kind of adjust with the times, and we are in a period of immense change. The pace of change right now in college sports is incredible in terms of all that we're seeing, from the transfer portal changes to name, image, and likeness, to discussions happening with conference commissioners and student athletes about potential revenue share, to the possibility of classifying student athletes as employees, which has with it a whole host of other effects that could come into play. There's a lot of change. And if you're an institution, if you're a coaching staff, if you're an athletic director, you've got to stay on the forefront of that change and determine how are we setting ourselves up to best equip, prepare, and ultimately protect student athletes to be able to navigate this new business of college sports that wasn't around 20 years ago. I mean, it wasn't around 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So much has changed over the last 24 to 36 months that athletic directors really are having to stay out there on front to be able to lead this change.
And last question, with college football playoff expansion, how much will this expand NIL in your opinion?
Big time. Big time. I think that we're going to see more and more deals happen with various bowl games that then become part of this expansion. We're going to see deals with the bowl, primary partners, corporate sponsors, and the student athletes. We're also, I think, going to see, because of this opportunity to win a championship, a national championship, I think we're going to see more and more student athletes that don't opt out, that don't opt to sit out of a potentially meaningless bowl game, because now you've got, these 8 more teams that are now going to be involved in these games that have much more meaning and give them a chance to win a national championship. So I think name, image, and likeness is going to play a role, and I think we're going to see the cream of the crop participating in these games as we go forward.
Well, that's music to my ears, especially as these bowl games are a little more unwatchable than they've been in the past. So, hey, thanks for the time today. Thanks for giving us a view of what's to come here in college sports.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.